in the scenario where there is a distinct buyer or booker, and then there's you guys, are you creating like structure around the communication, or are you trying to just communicate where you can with on each artist, or are you running down the list of the different artists with them right away? How do you like to have that conversation?
Yeah, sure. I would say once even the majority of the lineup is built, that's where I'll start, kind of the process of running through everything and just a check in of like, hey, what do we want to allot to each, maybe like opener versus headliner, mid act, that kind of thing. And then from there, if contracts, and in some events I'm also doing contracts, so that's makes things easier, kind of like Mark was saying, but being able to find those contracts is generally the next step. And then if they have writers, just building from there, that's when I start to build, folders, a digital Google Drive, whatever it is, folder, and start to get things really structured with my overall advance sheet, and then start moving forward with that. And usually I'll run it by the talent buyers or bookers just to see if there's any red flags for them. Sometimes they don't have a chance to really look through it, but if they can, it's always nice just to get that kind of second set of eyes on it.
Anna, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know how we survived without Google Drive. Like that was a time that happened, but I don't have any memory of it. So, but like that's what we're doing, is building out a digital, kind of storage for all of this information. And what I'll do, it depends on the event and the relationship with, the producers, but I will tend to just make that grid, and I'm like, okay, you fill it out. How many tickets do they get, or whatever the key points are that I need, along with their main tour manager and production manager info. And any of those key points, like Alex was saying, those are the most important things to kind of start getting then my advanced process rolling.
Yeah, Anna, I know our conversation yesterday, you were talking about the old dogs with the quarters. You got to. Yeah,
well, I just been lucky to be on the road with a couple old road dogs who have told me stories about carrying quarters, like weighing down their pants, like carrying quarters in there, so that each stop on tour they could advance on a payphone. Like, I can't even imagine what that world was like, because I never was a part of it. Mark, maybe you can speak a little bit, but I think it's so interesting because we do everything now on the computer,
Yeah, Mark, was
that? It's funny that you brought that. Yeah, back in the early days on like Lollapalooza and things like that. I mean, had our archaic old Apple computers, and we had, the old big cell phones, and that's how we did it. We would have to do, have a list of like 900 names, and we would just call everybody ahead of time and doing that. And it, you had to find a printer to go print it out to share those documents to your team on a daily basis. So it's funny that you brought that up. It reminds me of the quarter days for sure. Trying to find a payphone somewhere at a venue to get ready for the next few days.
We're very lucky to be in the industry at this time, I feel like, because we have access to so many different, formats and platforms that can help us in what we do. But like, really, Google Drive is my top thing there.
That's something I've learned being on both sides, and kind of like you were saying, I'm trying to craft my advances now so that they're easy to do mobilely. Because if you can't do it on your cell phone, or, it's going to take longer until you can be able to sit down at a laptop or whatever it is when you're on the road. So even if it's like the website that I'm using to advance, or the sheets, I've started to drift away from Excel and things like that to collect information, because if you can't do it mobile, it's going to take people twice as long to respond.
Chris, you'll have to host one just about advancing on your Apple Watch. Yeah.
I want to add one thing to that. I think in all these years of doing like multi-year events, like, I created a series of emails that kind of go in succession, depending on, once we kind of get the green light for the talent. And then from there, I just send them, we need this from you. We need to approve your contracts. We need to get all these different assets and things along those lines. And it just makes it so much easier to kind of just cut and paste and just throw it into the email as we move along and not forgetting any of the steps along the way. And going back to what you were saying with the Google Drive and Google Sheets, you kind of have your check boxes as you go along. So everybody in all your different teams can look what's happening in real time or get access to any of the different assets that you need. So definitely a lifesaver.
Lifesaver.
It's the power of formatting.
Yes.
Even knowing what to put in bold so that when someone's scrolling through an email, they know where to find it easier rather than having to dig through and search 12 emails at once.